My name is Temitokwe.
My name is Oyinkansola.
Okay, so we're going to do a brief introduction. I am originally from Nigeria. I settled in the US a few years ago. Been a long time. I was just about 18, something 18. Right now, I'm a business owner. I have just one daughter who is here, and she's currently in college. And I feel the need to help mothers, African moms, our Gen X moms, to better understand their daughters. A little introduction about you.
So I was born in America, Texas, 2006. And I went to private school, and I don't have any siblings. Now I go to Baylor, which is like 3 hours from home, and I'm pre-med, studying biology and psychology. I'm involved in my church. I'm involved in club volleyball, African Student Association, and yes.
Good. And you forgot your name.
I said in the beginning, Oyinkansola.
Oyinkansola is the name. And we're going to welcome my Gen Z American niece. Welcome, y'all. Welcome, Jade. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. We just did a little introduction. You're going to tell us your name, what grade you are in, just a general introduction.
My name is Jade. I am going to start 11th grade in the fall. And I was born in Houston, or I was born in Sugar Land, but I grew up in Houston. And yeah, this is my aunt and this is my cousin.
Thank you for joining us. So I am going to ask a few questions, you guys, and they're going to ask me questions too. They have questions. My first question will be about respect, okay? So what do you guys think about respect? What it means to respect here currently among Gen Z in America compared to what you realize about your Gen X mothers, African moms?
Are you asking respect amongst each other or respecting our parents?
Respect between the parents, the African mom, and then the new American kids.
Well, in like African cultures, respect is like it's like not like earned. You have to give respect to your elders no matter what. That's just how they grew up. But in America, you kind of give respect. Respect goes both ways. But I guess Africans, they just think respect is just for the adults and stuff.
I think that's a good point Jade is making. So the reason why in Africa, kids, when we were growing up, I'm not sure about now, kids were not really allowed to talk. When adults are sitting, having conversations, the kids do not come and start interrupting and getting into the conversation. But here in America, among Gen Z, they're able to contribute and talk, contribute to the conversation. And so in Nigeria, growing up, it was supposed to be disrespectful, but not anymore. I personally think it's a good idea for the kids to join in conversations. Not if it's out of age conversation sometimes, but generally it's okay. So what do you think, Oyinkansola?
I think that if you're a kid and it's your parents, I feel like respect comes with the relationship between like parents and the kids, and no matter what your culture is. But the difference is like in African households, parents can do whatever they want and the kids still has to respect them. In American households, the parents do what parents are supposed to do, raise their kids, discipline them, but the respect doesn't just come, like they can't just do whatever they want and make mistakes, never apologize. Like American parents always take accountability and apologize to their kids. And I feel like, in my opinion, when you see an adult that is humble enough to apologize, that's when they can be respected. That's when they're acting respectable. I feel like a lot of African parents don't, like, even if they know they're wrong, they're not humble enough to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm wrong, I shouldn't have done that."
Wow, excellent point. I love that. That is so true. You have to respect yourself and in the house to expect respect, to gain respect. So respect is really supposed to be reciprocal. There's different types of respect. So as a parent, as a mom, the things you do in the house is very important. Okay, when your kids see you do some things that are not making sense that you shouldn't be doing, then most likely you're not gonna get no respect from that child. It's gonna be difficult to get respect. I think that's really Universal's point, which makes a lot of sense. So you need to be careful if you see that your child, your Gen Z American kid is not respecting you. You need to check your behavior sometimes. Sometimes your behavior, I think, right? That makes a lot of sense. Okay, let me switch and I will go to education. Okay, in Africa, education is very extremely important. And yes, I'm one of the moms that are always like, hey, bring home the A, bring home the A. You gotta bring that the good grades home. And that is just an African thing. So what do you guys think about that? Do you feel like too strained or just give us an idea of what you think when the parents come? I'm sure your parents come at you like that. What do you think, Johnny?
I think that, yeah, and bringing home A's is expected, but at least for me, it's harder to bring home, like it requires more work for me than probably her to bring home straight A's, but it's just like you have to do what you gotta do.
Okay. So do you feel like so tensed up, or do you feel like it's a good thing, or what do you think?
I mean, whenever I don't get A's, I mean, obviously, for me, I want to get A's, so it's just like, I feel kind of disappointed in myself. But my mom, I think she does a good job of not making me feel bad about not always bringing home A's, even though, because she knows I try my best to bring home the best grade I can. So
Excellent point. So at least for yourself, you
Yeah.
want to have those A's.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point. I love it. So, Ursula, what do you think?
I think that any good parent, whether they're African, American, Asian, Hispanic, any good parent wants their child to succeed. And any good parent wants their child to bring home A's, because from high school to college, that's what's going to make you successful. But I think the difference in typical African households and typical American households is that in typical African households, when your kid doesn't bring home the A's, then they are grounded, they have things taken away, like even if it's all A's and one B, it's still like, oh, what happened in this class? It's because you're on your phone. It's because this. It's because that. But, well, let me just preface, I've never brought home a B ever.
Hey.
So I'm speaking on my other friends. But then in American households, like Jada was saying, her mom, they are more understanding of maybe, some brains are not tailored towards math. Some brains are more creative, and they do well in English and history because you can make things up, you can write things, and so they do well. But then in math and science, it's like this is the answer or it's not. And they're not good at memorizing, they're not good at like that kind of mathematical application. And so it's important to understand that not all children are the same.
Right.
Like she said, I'm innately good at memorizing, like that's why I chose to major in science. And I'll be honest, history and English, I was very much scraping. Like it was my life. Like it was not easy, but I came through. I feel like it's easier to come through in those classes because if you have a good relationship with your teacher, they're more likely to give you a good grade. So that's how I scraped through those classes. But obviously in math, which is what she struggles in, even if you have a good relationship with your teacher, she can't say, oh, it's right if it's wrong.
If it's wrong.
So
makes sense. So how do you think that the parents can help you, do better so that you're not feeling stressed? Like if you're struggling in a grade, how do you think they can help you get better in that particular subject in the area?
For me, I feel like yelling and doing all she said doesn't really help anything.
Okay.
I feel like all it does is make the student, like the person, more frustrated and not, like at least for me, whenever my parents would take my phone and ground me and stuff for having B's, I would just get frustrated and not want to do any work at all. But now that they're more lenient about it, now I want to get A's for myself instead of for them. So I'm the one who's like studying more and like trying to, I don't know,
Get to
better.
the grade.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that. So the Gen Z American kids do not like the yelling. No need to yell. Yelling does not do any good. That's what we're saying. So you need to be calm, sit and have conversations and see how you can work things out. So that,
when it comes, that's only when it comes to grades. I personally think that yelling can be effective.
okay.
Say they are sneaking out, they are doing things that can get them in jail, they are doing weird things on their phone. I think a yelling and a spanking is deserved.
I love it.
Yes.
So good enough. We have at least one, hopefully more, American Gen Z child that feels like yelling and spanking would help in some cases. Those are very extreme situations. When a child goes really extreme, then just sitting and talking sometimes does not work. So you would have to sit and watch your child, what kind of child you have, to be sure about that. Good. I'm loving this. Okay, so let's switch a little bit to friendship. Oh, so sometimes we have friends that the parents don't approve of. Growing up, I realized that a lot of African parents will blame their kids' friends for whatever bad character that the child has. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, that does not make sense to me. For me, your child, you're supposed to raise your child properly, so that way the child is able. Why is it always the bad child has to influence the good child? If your child is such a great, wonderful kid, how come he or she is not the one influencing the bad child, right? So we tend to want to pick. I'm personally not one that wants to pick, if it's really extreme, but I want us to talk about that a little bit. Let's start with Rico at this time. What do you think of how parents help in deciding this child is not good, or this friend is like a no, or to what limits or extreme cases should we, deal with that?
Yeah. I think that it starts with knowing your child first, then, because like you said, a lot of African parents will say, oh, it's because you're hanging out with this person and this person, but most of the times it's usually the other person that's a good friend and the child that's influencing the other person. So I think that I'm in the way that I like when my mom likes my friends, and when my mom doesn't like my friends, I mean, she doesn't ever tell me, oh, that's a bad friend, you need to get rid of them. But if my friend and my mom don't have a good relationship, then it's like the friend is the problem. So, but I feel like a lot of children, if they already don't have a good relationship with their parents, they don't respect their parents, and their parent is always yelling at them, if their friends and their parents don't get along, they see it as a good thing. And I think that it starts with you having that relationship with your kid and letting them like respect you, but also like knowing them and knowing, like if your kid is innately bad and the one that's affecting other people, just tailoring them away. Like, it's hard to just say, oh, tell them to drop that person and they need to, like, you're a bad person, you need to fix yourself. You can't just say that. But like, I feel like, but I think that a kid who has a good relationship with their parents at home won't be bad outside, in my opinion. So I think that if the home is like, if you're always yelling and you're always talking down on your child, then they're gonna take what you say and they're gonna feel like, oh, like, yes, I deserve to be yelled at, I'm not a good person, so they're gonna start acting like a bad person. And there's research studies that they do, actually, that people who get talked down on believe that they're worse than other people anyways. So I think that the friends that your child chooses is based on how they feel about themselves.
Good point. That's a wonderful point. The friend that your child chooses is based on how they feel about themselves. Good point. Let's go to Jadi. So what do you think?
I kind of agree with everything she said. She kind of took everything I was going to say. I think, if you have a good relationship with your parents, you'll choose the right people to hang out with, because you know better than to not hang out with the wrong people. And that's basically what she said.
Okay, so Jadi is basically agreeing with Oyinkansola on what she said about friendship. we'll go to the last topic real quick so we can round this up. The most, I think for me, very special is what do you think parents can do, especially a mom to a daughter? Let's be specific, really. I will say that this time. What do you think we can do to make you feel comfortable about talking to your mom about just anything, okay? And we're talking about the Gen X African moms with the Gen Z American daughters. Let's hear from Jade first on this one.
I think what a mom can do is just try and be patient and understanding with their kid. My mom has 3 kids, first of all. She's always rushing, doing everything, trying to attend to every kid, so I understand. But I feel like since she's Gen X or whatever, she doesn't understand kind of what teenagers nowadays go through, because whenever she was a teenager, it was like very different for her, so she's not as understanding about what I would go through. But I feel like if she would be able to be more understanding about stuff, because she was just kind of yells at me about things, but that's okay.
Okay, so tell me, like, one way, maybe 1 or 2 ways, what you think, how you think she can really be understanding, how she can show understanding.
She listens to me. Just listen to me talk.
Just listen.
Sometimes I don't want solutions to my problems. I just want to talk about my problems.
Okay.
And she wants to offer solutions sometimes.
Oh, good point. So listening, yeah, I think we know that very well, that sometimes some people are not looking for answers. They just want someone to hear them out. So that's what Jade is saying. Just sit, listen to the conversation, what she's saying. So, and just listen. At that time, just don't say anything. Just don't find a solution. Just listen. I think we can talk about that. I do that. I love to do that. I listen, and sometimes I come back with the answer much later. Okay, that makes sense. I like that. And then you have another point?
Just try and be patient with them. They're like teenagers, so they're going through a lot. They have like school, friends, family, all sorts of things. So like their brains, and then like hormones and everything, their brains are all over the place. So just be patient with them.
Okay. So patience. Please be patient. Although they have a lot going on and we have no idea what those things are. So just be patient. Try to be more understanding. Okay. That's what our Gen Z American daughter is saying. Let's go to it, Kasana. What do you think?
I think that as you grow up and you grow older, you become more understanding of your mom's perspective compared to when you're growing up. Because I was a good child, but when I was younger, me and my mom would get into tips more because you don't understand. I didn't understand the rules that she was setting for me, like when it comes to sleepovers and, like I wasn't allowed to walk down the street sometimes, and, it's because I'm an only child. And now I'm older, I understand I'm an only child, there's crazy people out there, like, you don't have as much perspective as your parents do, but since we're supposed to be directing to the Gen X African mom, I'll say that when your kids are younger, you have to understand that they're gonna make you mad because they don't understand what you're like, why you're setting certain rules and why there's certain boundaries that you're not letting them cross. And so instead of getting mad at them when they're mad at you, you have to understand that and be like, and I think it's good to explain it to them, especially her little sister is 12. So I feel like she's at the age now that if Auntie Dolly is saying something and Dola doesn't like the rule, or Auntie Dolly's her mom, then Auntie Dolly can explain it to her. She's old enough now. But also like Jade was saying, understanding that like your child, like you're going through stuff, but your child is also going through life. Like it's both of your first time living. It's your first time being a mom, but it's also your kid's first time being a kid. And they're just trying to figure stuff out. I think it's easier obviously when you have one kid. And Jadali, she has her, who's Gen Z, and then her other 2 kids are not even the same generation, and they have a whole other problems that are just beyond myself. But anyways, I think that from my perspective, Honestly, I would speak more to like the Gen Z American daughter that like you have to understand that understand your parents' perspective, understand how they grew up, and be patient with them as well as the parent being patient with the child.
Oh my goodness, wonderful point. So the point you made about when you get to a certain age, then you understand better. I love it because even as grown as I am, I'm starting to understand what my mom, your grandma, feels about some situation, how she's seeing things. I'm like, oh my God. And I think back that, oh, I can imagine what grandma has been through. So I completely agree with that if you try to think about that. And me too, as a African Gen X mom, I try to put myself in the position of American Gen Z girl and try to imagine what's going on now and just shake off the African in me a little bit so that I can better understand what's going on. But there's situations that sometimes we cannot just help, and we try to make sure, put you guys in that, like you said, you understand better. So like I think Jade is starting to understand some of it more and more as she's growing up. So I would like to thank these wonderful girls for joining me today. Again, this is Oyinkansola. Oyinkansola is sophomore, going in next year in the university. She's going to be 19 in August. And then this is Jade. Jade is my wonderful niece. She is going to be sweet 16. Yay! In November. We will not invite you to the party. But, you know,
To my party?
who knows? Do you have a party? You should have a sweet 16 birthday party. You know? Okay, well, I'm not sure she wants a party. Maybe hang out, go somewhere, take a trip. Hawaii, maybe, mom and dad. All right. Thank you guys so much. And we will be back again. Just let us know what topics you want us to discuss, to ask these young ladies, and we can talk about that later. Thank y'all. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.